This right next to me is a 1971 Mercedes-Benz 280 SE 3.5, and it is known internally as the W108. And what makes this particular one unique, it was once one of the most powerful cars of its era, and also one of the most luxurious cars on the road as well. And back when this particular car was new, it would have set you back just over $12,000, and this made this version of the W108 4 times more expensive than the average car. And this is going to be a full detailed review of the W108. So first, I'm going to run you through a brief overview about this model series. Then we're going to move on to the design, its interior, the engine bay, and then of course, I'm going to drive it. Let's start this video talking about a brief overview about the W108. So this model series was in production from 1965 up until 1972, and the variant I'm showing you today is an Australian delivered 280 SE 3.5 that features the fuel injected M116 engine, and this particular engine was also carried over to the R107 SL as well as the W116 S-Class, which in fact was a replacement for the W108, and even the early W126 380 models from the 1980s. And for the W108, you had various models and engines to choose from throughout its production, like for example the 280S, 3.5 and 6.3s, and those models rivaled with things like the Jaguar XJ Series 1, and of course in America, the big Cadillac saloons. And customers also had the choice between choosing an automatic transmission in either floor shift or column shift form, or a manual transmission in either column shift or a floor shift layout. And specific to the W109, they had leather interiors opposed to MBTEX, as well as a longer wheelbase, more wood and chrome, and hydraulic suspension opposed to a core sprung setup. And finally, for the 600s, they were fitted with the M100 engine, which was a 6.3 litre single overhead cam V8 that was produced by Mercedes between 1963 and 1981. And that particular engine was also featured in the very first Mercedes AMG racing car. Okay, moving on to the design. So the W108 was styled by Frenchman Paul Bruck, and in regards to the 108's key features, up the front, being a 1970s model, it features the Bosch halogen twin headlight design, whereas some of the earlier W108s featured what's called the tombstone headlight design. And down below, big chrome bumper bars with rubber inserts. And finally, this particular example has been fitted with stone cards, which was a dealer fitted option only for Australia. And moving towards the side, this particular version is sitting on 14-inch alloy wheels, and the wheel itself is also complemented by white wall tyres. And you've also got chrome along the side, as well as chrome door handles. And now moving towards the rear design of the W108, it features halogen tail lights, and down below, like the front, chrome bumper bars, and down the bottom, there are these chrome exhaust pipes. Let's now move on to the cabin. So when you climb inside, you will notice you have basic central locking alongside the traditional Mercedes key from the period, and the key itself slots right into the ignition. And if we move on to the interior design, overall it looks very minimal and basic, but there are some nice design elements, like for example when you look ahead of you, you can see the dashboard is complemented by this wood trim on the top panel, and I think that's a very nice touch. And I especially love this detail. The wood grain runs along the top of the door seals, and in relation to the car's cabin quality, just have a listen to this door slam. That is very loud. And in terms of its materials, up the top here, you have a vinyl dashboard. You've also got wood grain that runs along the center. Even the glove box, that is made entirely out of wood grain opposed to plastic. And specific to Australian complied W108s, all of the short wheelbase variants featured MBTEX interior opposed to full leather. This example is finished in beige, and this has been fitted with the optional headrest. And in relation to its options, you could get a power sunroof along with electric windows. And as you can see, this example also features its original Becker Mexico cassette player that also features FM and AM radio. And as a dealer fitted option from Mercedes, you could get air conditioning, which this example has been equipped with. And to tell the difference between the factory version and the dealer fitted version, it's made out of plastic, whereas the factory one is made out of vinyl. You have directional air vents on each side, and right in front of me is an analog gauge cluster showing in miles per hour. And on the left hand side, temperature, fuel tank and oil pressure, and towards the center, an analog clock. And this lever here is the column shift automatic, and the steering wheel itself is quite large and quite solid. It isn't the most comfortable wheel to hold in the hands, but this was built during a period when their owners used to wear driving gloves. It is also complemented by this chrome horn ring and the vinyl material towards the centre. And over on the driver's side are some light switches alongside the indicators and wipers. And over on the side here, the window opens. And up the top here, a set of sunshades, and the roof lining itself is MBTEX as well. And in relation to storage, I've already shown you the glove box. You have an ashtray here, and on each side, some door card pockets. Let's now move on to the back seat. So, being the SE, it isn't the SEL long wheelbase variant, but as you can see, I've still got plenty of room for my knees, toes, and plenty of headroom. And you still also get this wood paneling on the door seals, along with these large grab handles, ashtrays on the doors, the original seat belts. You have this armrest that folds out, MBTEX leather and red carpets like what you get in the front, and the windy up windows. And if we now move on to the boot, you just push this button, lift up this metal piece with this chrome tab, and you will notice the capacity is quite large, and that means the overall size is big enough for a couple of golf clubs, suitcases, and anything you wanted to carry on a long road trip. And it's also complemented by this red carpet piece. And you may have already noticed it features its original spare tyre alongside the spare toolkit and jack. And you will notice the entire boot itself is just metal, even along the panels alongside the boot tub. Let's now move on to the powertrain. So to access the bonnet, you just pull on the lever on the passenger side, then walk towards the bonnet itself. On the right hand side, there is a lever you pull up and the bonnet opens. And once you've done all that, as you can see, the 280 SE is powered by the M116 3.5 naturally aspirated V8 engine, which is fuel injected. And the benefit to this is the engine runs more efficient and reliable, and it also provides a more smooth, consistent power delivery. And back in its day, this technology was very advanced. Not so much these days as we are now moving towards electrification, and the engine itself is paired to a 4-speed column shift automatic transmission, sending power to the rear wheels. And in relation to the architecture of the W108, the body itself is welded to the floor, so that means the W108 sits on a body-on-frame construction, and it also features coil-sprung traditional wishbone suspension, whereas the W109 featured hydraulic suspension. Let's now move on to driving impressions, starting off with visibility. So up front, I can clearly see what's ahead of me. It also features a long bonnet with the Mercedes emblem, large side windows, and a large rear window as well. So one of the first things that you will notice in a right-hand drive variant, the pedals sit offset to the right, and you've also got a long accelerator pedal, which is an uncommon for a Mercedes-Benz. So considering it is a 4-speed, it shifts gears very smoothly. The only thing that you do notice when you do go over unsealed surfaces, just like that, it is quite noisy in the cabin, but apart from that, the driving experience is pretty refined. And in relation to the steering, it handles particularly well, especially if it is maintained like this one. It's got a good turning circle, and if I just put my foot down, you don't have to put your foot all the way to the floor to get the best power output from this engine. A lot of the power is available lower in the rev band, and unlike most classic cars, this isn't hard to drive. Anyone can jump in and get behind the wheel, and you could drive this every day if you wanted to, mind you, if you could put up with the really useless air conditioning. And you do feel special driving this car. People look at it and appreciate it. In comparison to an inline 6-cylinder 280S that is not fuel injected, the V8 version feels more like a luxury cruiser opposed to a sports sedan. And the 280S I did drive was fitted with the factory optioned floor shift manual, whereas this is a column shift, so it's a totally different driving experience altogether. So as a wrap up, what do I think overall about the W108 equipped with the V8 engine? Well, compared with a 280S I reviewed, that variant to me felt a little bit more sporty, a little bit more like a driver's car, whereas this feels like a traditional S-Class, front nose heavy, fitted with a big powerful V8 opposed to a sports saloon. But overall, it offers a pleasant driving experience, and I've really enjoyed my time with the 108. But let me know what you think of my verdict. And if you did like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon to receive notifications every time I upload a new car review, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.